Hey there. So I'm going to share a pattern breakthrough. It was one of my own. It was a really, really big deal. And it was about money and not wanting to look at it, not wanting to measure it, not wanting to see how much money is coming in. And I've been in business for myself with my wife for 16 years, going on 17. And you have to pay attention. You have to know how much you're making, what you're earning, how many clients, what you can, paying attention is critical. And it's been in the past so difficult for me. I had such a strong pattern as I walked myself through a pattern breakthrough. I recognized that the pattern for me was showing up as not wanting to look at my numbers, not wanting to look at my bank account, not wanting to look at my Stripe account, not wanting to see how much money came in this month, this last year, this last quarter, so that I could see where I'm at. So then I could make new decisions about where I wanted to go. And what we have to do is once we recognize a pattern, then we look at the impact that it's actually having on our life. And for me, this pattern around money was keeping me in a low level of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of overwhelm, feeling afraid, even feelings of terror over nothing. And I can look at my year end or when I work with my accountant and I have to put everything together and get all the money, then I have to do it. I look at it and I'm always very surprised by how much money I actually generated. And this is the pattern playing out, me not wanting to look and having to shut down and disconnect. Oh my God, I've got to. Ugh, there we go. Okay. So that's the real impact. And when we look at the impact and we look at the pattern, we look at the impact, then we have to really pay attention. How is it impacting my body? Right? For me, tons of dysregulation. I'm a highly sensitive person. My nervous system is impacted very easily, very quickly. And so this low level and sometimes high level money stress was dysregulating me. And when I'm dysregulated, I don't want to post, I don't want to make videos, I don't want to show up. So it's impacting my business with the way that I show up. It's impacting my business in the way that I feel. And because it stresses me out, it makes my sleep interrupted. It's made my life feel heavy as fuck in relation to money all of my life. And so as I consider how it's making me feel, and I look at this pattern and I recognize, okay, I've been running a pattern totally unconscious. I didn't even really recognize it until I started noticing. It's like, oh my God, when it comes to money, I don't want to participate. I don't want to look at it. Can I make sales? Yeah, I can make sales, but it's like I would have kind of a dissociated feeling about it, always this little bit of separation between me and money. And so that's why I took a dive, looked in, saw that, okay, this is a pattern. This is the impact. This is how it's making me feel. And then I had to really think about, okay, what has this pattern of not wanting to look at money, what is it supposed to protect me from? Well, it feels like to me that by not looking at money, I would be less stressed. Is that the case? No. Actually, I've been more stressed, but this is exactly how patterns work. And you have to understand the patterns I'm talking about are ways of being, things that you're doing or not doing that are causing friction or suffering in your life. That's the kind of pattern that I'm talking about. This pattern is something that is running largely unconscious. It's architecture in our nervous system, and our body is responding a certain way to things, right? That's what I'm calling a pattern. And patterns are literally created because of a decision we made as traumatized kids. As a little kid going through something very, very hard, we made a very, very strong decision. And that decision is what I call a vow. And that vow is what's running this pattern, this way your body's being, this way that my body was being around money, didn't want to look at it. Always had stress, didn't want to measure it, didn't even want to look at how much was coming in. Everything about it was like, look the other way. Oh my God, it's time to do my taxes again. And then I sit down, itemize everything out. And, I always have on my to-do list to sit down and do all my itemizations and pay attention and earmark everything for where it goes because I'm running my own business. There are write-offs, there are great things because of being a business owner, but because I, in my life, did not want to look at it. It was always a source of stress and contention for me. It didn't matter how much money I make. It doesn't matter how much money would come in. I would still have the same level of stress around it, whether money was coming in or going out. I was looking at it or not looking at it. That's the pattern that I'm talking about. These are the patterns that I'm talking about. This is an example of a pattern. And we are not broken. I felt so broken in my life about this, but I wasn't broken. I was patterned. So then, as I was taking myself through a pattern breakthrough, and I recognized this pattern was supposed to protect me from being stressed. If I just don't look at money, if I just don't think about it, then I won't feel stressed. That's bullshit. I felt stressed every day of my life. So then, when I looked at where did this come from, what early memory comes up for me around this, I am so sorry. My nose is running. When I look at what early memory came up for me around this pattern of not wanting to look at money, the memory came very quickly to my mind. And it was very shortly after my dad had died. My father was killed when I was 11 years old. I had just turned 11. It was in September, late September. And I believe it was the next April that this happened. So I was 11 years old. I walked into the kitchen. My mom was sitting at the bar. I was the youngest of 7 children. So it was just me and my brother that were around, and really mostly me. So my mom was sitting at the kitchen bar, the Formica countertop, and she had papers all over the counter. And there were receipts, there was a notebook, there was an adding machine, there were kind of just looked like papers everywhere. And my mom was crying. And I went and sat down right next to her, and she just dropped her face in her hands and sobbed. And she was like boo hoo, bawling. And she was talking out loud, and she just kept saying, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm ever going to figure this out. I don't know how to do this. And she was crying. And right about the same time, she was also trying to figure out how to get paid for the headstone to go on my dad's grave. And this is months later. And so me, as little me, sat down next to her watching all of this. And it felt life and death to me. Because when my dad died, I remember one of the vows I made, and I broke this pattern a good while ago, and it changed my life for the better because it freed me. But the pattern was that I was a people pleaser, very, very codependent, wanting to make sure everyone around me is comfortable and happy at the expense of my own comfort or happiness. And it all went back down to the vow, the decision. I was sitting underneath the dining table. It was before the funeral. My mom's sitting over in her recliner, and I saw with my own eyes what grief looks like. She was crying so hard, and you could just see it. And I was so afraid she was going to die. So I made a decision in my young mind, sitting under that table, I will do whatever it takes to make her happy. Because in my mind, right then, happiness was equal to her being alive. Sadness was equal to her dying. So I didn't ever want her to be sad. So now let's fast forward to April in the next year, 1980. And she's sitting there crying. And I'm looking at her, and I know it's all about money that she's crying about, and that she doesn't know what to do. And I'm 11, so I don't know what to do. And I looked, and I made a decision then and there that money is not safe and money kills people. Money is dangerous. Right? Can you see how that kid in me was trying to keep his mom alive, makes a decision, the vow was made, money is dangerous. Money hurts people. Money isn't safe. That was it. So then here I am, right? Today, living a life till I broke this, till I saw this pattern, living a life where money was making me absolutely insane. And let me just open my note here really quick. I just don't want to miss any part of this. So that was my vow. I made a vow. Money had been driving me insane. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with this? Like, I've got to figure this out. This is what it was. It was that decision that I made watching my mom in absolute heartache, fear, upset, grief, loss, crying, not knowing what to do. Did she figure it out? Yeah, she totally figured it out. And she figured it out every year and she figured a lot of things out. I mean, my dad was 54 years old when he died. I'm 57. He was a young man. And my mom, she did it. She did it. Kudos to her. She did it. But she was scared to death. And how did I feel sitting there watching and witnessing my mom? I was terrified. I felt hopeless. I was so afraid. And I didn't know that it was triggering my trauma from losing my dad. And that's why it was 100% for me. Money is a life and death thing. And it makes perfect sense why that little kid made that decision. But what has been the very hard part of that decision is the decades. I'm 57. I was 11, 46 years. Well, maybe 45, but years, decades of having so much duress and stress around money, feeling like it's a murderer, right? Crazy. But this is how it works. And then I was able to break the pattern, identify the vow, meet that part of me, witness that part of me. That's where the vow actually breaks. What is the new truth? And then recognize what is possible for me now. Oh my God, it makes me so excited. I love to measure my money. I love to look at it, think about it. Oh my God, look at how much I brought in. Look at what's coming. Look at what I've been able to do. Incredible. And it's because I broke the pattern. Everything is energy. So now attracting money is so much easier. Because before, money was the enemy. Do you think money's going to get close to me? No, because I'm going to have my hands up pushing it away because in my brain, it was not safe. That is what breaking a pattern does. It frees you to create more of what you want in your life instead of experiencing what you don't want. Do it. Come join us. If you'd like to break a pattern, there's a link below. Click it, find a spot that works for you, and show up for that session and break one of the patterns that feel like they're breaking you. The best news about that is your big, beautiful, bold life is on the other side of that pattern. Let's do it.